give us enlightenment and allow us to see how important it really is for us to have Hebrew, for us to have harmony one toward another. In the precious name of YHWH, amen. What happened?
You let it sleep.
What happened? Can you stop that? Can I stop that? Can I go to settings? I don't want to have to do that while I'm teaching tonight. So, find it.
Let me look. But you're gonna have to unplug it and plug it back in when it does it.
Okay.
Unplug the white thing.
I'll try to remember. Will it warn me before it goes?
It won't come. You have to unplug it and plug it back in. It's not on right now. It won't warn you. You have to use it. If you're gonna use the projector, you have to use your computer. You can't just leave it as a screensaver up there because it's gonna go to screensaver.
There we go. All right. Turn to Psalm 133. Psalm 133 in your manuscript. And I was looking at a couple of passages tonight, but this one is the one that stood out the most. And so I thought I would share this with you tonight. When you read it in the King James Version of the Bible, which I've said this several times, the King James Version of the Bible is a translation. It is not the Bible. It is a translation of the Bible. Our holy manuscript, the Scriptures of Truth, were written in Hebrew. Y'all should know that by now. Please roll with me from the very beginning. Y'all say amen. It was written in Hebrew. And Hebrew was written by Hebrews. Amen. Not by Europeans, not by the English, not by the Greeks, not by the Romans, but by Hebrews. And everything that the Hebrews wrote down, especially when we talk about the Hebrew Israelites, they wrote it down pertaining to the people and culture and customs of the Hebrews. Therefore, in order for us to really understand what a passage is trying to convey to us, it is important that we take the passage back to its original language and then from there try to decipher what the Most High Yah is trying to tell his people and what the Holy Spirit, which is really the Ruach HaKodesh, trying to get away from that word spirit because it carries with it the idea of a ghost. And our Heavenly Father is not a ghost. Somebody say amen. It's his breath, it's his life. It's the set apart spirit, which is the set apart life of the Most High Yah. And he's speaking to the church even this very hour, Zion. I have looked online, I have looked in this city, I've looked across this country, and I have noticed that there is one particular sin. Well, there's more than one sin, but there's one problem and one sin that seems to be pervasive and paramount and particular amongst the Hebrew who are waking up to the truth. And that is, there is division amongst the camps. Now, first, let's bring something into focus, into context. The majority of us, overwhelming majority of us, who are bloodline Hebrews, at this moment in time are unconscious. We don't even know who we are. We don't know whose we are. We don't know where we came from. We don't know our first name or our last name. Are y'all with me here? We don't know our language. We don't know our true religion. We don't know the name of our Abba. I can go on and on. Overwhelming majority. I would say upwards of 95 to 96% of us are unconscious. And then I would say within the 5 or 4% that have become conscious, I would say maybe 1 or 2% of them are even fellowshipping with the rest of the body at all. That's that Lone Ranger Hebrew who think he doesn't need fellowship. All he needs is a Bible and himself. And I'll show you tonight that that too is a misnomer according to the Holy Manuscript. But then you have this very small percent, probably less than 1%, who know who they are conscious, and they've gotten together to try to study the scriptures together. And unfortunately, amongst that small group, that remnant, we yet have division. We yet have disharmony. We are yet divided. And I've discovered something in my short time of studying this subject, and that is, we will divide over as many things as those that are still stuck in the Christian church, in denominations. Do we sprinkle? Do we put under the water? Do we speak it in tongue, or do we not speak it in tongue? Do we have a Christmas party or not? Do we serve ham hocks, or are we going to have chitlins, or what we doing this year? I'm just saying, they go on and on, and they end up with 41,000 different denominations. You can't take communion in the morning. Yes, you can. No, you can't. You got to take it at night. Well, I'm going to start to take communion in the morning, church. And then I'm going to start to take it only at night, church. We don't fellowship with the ones. You understand what I'm saying? Division. And may I say this, I'm not really too much concerned with those who are still unconscious, walking according to the course of this world and to the darkness of false religion. I'm not really concerned about them as much as I am those of us who have come to the light. And we know who we are, and we know that we are supposed to be reading not only what's called the New Testament, which is really not new, but we're supposed to be studying this Bible from the very first book, Bereshit, to the last book of the Revelation. Anybody in here agree with that? Say amen. Do you know that according to the manuscript, there is only one true way to worship the Most High Yah, and that is Torah? Can I say that one more time? According to this book, the one everybody talking about, I follow this book, but yet this group can't get along with the group across the street. Sometimes you got 2 or 3 groups on the same block, and they won't even visit one another because everybody got a different idea about something. And let me say what the tragedy is. Most of the arguments, divisions, and dissensions amongst our people have to do with a misunderstanding of what's written in English. Okay, I'm going to say that again. They're fighting over English words when the English is always written in, what I tell y'all, abstract. They never go to the actual source of the writing, which is Hebrew, to get a proper understanding. And so they start splitting and splitting and splitting and splitting and splitting. And tonight I want to talk about, even in our fellowship, how important it is for us to dwell, I'm finna show it on the board, together in what?
Harmony.
Turn to Psalm 133. Just 3 verses. It won't be long tonight. Behold, first of all, this is a song of degrees. Now, a lot of folks don't even know what that means, so I'm just going to tell you. A song of degrees has to do with the ascension of the children of Israel to Mount Zion, where they would worship together. And as they went up, it was considered to be going up degrees. So this is one of the ascending psalms of our second king, David, or his Hebrew name, of course, is Dawid. I pulled it up on the overhead, and I don't know if you can see it. I should have refocused it. But you see it says the Song of Degrees, and then it says La Dawid. And of course, Ole Dawid, and of course you see his name spelled right here with the Lamed in front of it. I hope you can see my cursor. Yeah, you can see it. And it's the song that is of David. In other words, David is the one who penned this song. And this is how he starts it off. Behold, I'm reading in English and I'll come back to the Hebrew. Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. And of course, if you read it in Hebrew and you start with the behold, hena, ma. Now watch this. It says, tov. We know that word. That word is good. Remember, we studied that word one night. When we say good morning, we say boker tov. Okay, yuma. And how pleasant. Naim. We're going to study that word tonight. You see, it's one of my words I pulled out. And it says, for brethren, and we'll see that ahim, or sometimes brothers call each other akim. For the brethren, which is male and female, that are in the body, to dwell. You see, I put that word out there. And I'll show you that in a moment. Together. Now, here's something very interesting. Again. Now, when you look at the King James Version, you do not see the word again. Do y'all see it? But when you look on the board, you see gam, which is a gamel and a mem. You see it? Right here. But when you read verse 1 in English, you don't see the again. It just says to dwell together. But that's very important that you see the gam in there, because what David is referring to, and we're going to look at that in a moment, he's referring to the fact that at one time they were together. And then something happened and they split. And what he's looking at is he's looking at the restoration of the family and of the brethren coming back, and he's saying it's good and it's pleasant. So let us, Zion, begin by just breaking down some of these Hebrew words, and then I will talk about a little bit of how important it is for us to keep unity or harmony among the brethren. First of all, for those of you who've been studying with us, we know that the word tov in Hebrew, or the word good in English, is the word tov in Hebrew. And we know that that particular word, has to do with, in a simple definition, that which is beautiful. We learned from our other dictionary, it also deals with that which is functional. If something is functional, is functioning the way it was designed, it's considered to be good. If it's not functioning properly, it's considered to be evil in the scriptures. Also, there is another word, which is agreeable. Is another way they translate the word tov. It's good, and of course I don't want to get into all this, but it could be related to smell, taste, place, persons. A message can be good, it can be right, and other things. But I just want to show you these simple words, boys. It's a lot, because you know when Most High created the heavens and the earth, when he made each day, he called it good, which means it was right and it was functional. But here's the word I want to get to here. Here's the definition I want to get to here. Welfare, prosperity, and happiness. That's what I really want you to see. Where he says, how good, he's talking about the welfare of everybody in the group. Which means when there's division, it's bad for everybody. You get that? But when there is unity or harmony, it's good for the welfare of everybody. Y'all got that? I also want you to see this word, prosperity. Because y'all hear about these prosperity preachers, right? And I almost said something that I hope to blast them tonight a little bit on how they're teaching prosperity. I hope to blast them a little bit, just a little bit, of how Carlos is saying, uh-oh, y'all put on your seatbelts, we're going to heaven tonight. We going quick too, Locke. Put them on. Good to see you, man. Now watch this. Watch this. You've got some people teaching how to be healthy and wise and prosperous, and they got these big huge churches. This is true now, but yet they're not teaching what the word says about prosperity. And of course, as a result, you got all the prosperity preachers getting stinking rich, while their members are steady getting poor. If y'all in this room and you know that Creflo Dollar got way more money than the folks sitting in his church, somebody ought to say amen. T.D. Jakes got yachts, plural, and their members don't have tugboats. Are y'all listening to me? When I tell you that the prosperity movement is about the wealth of the leader, it is because for one, they're not dwelling together in unity based on the holy manuscript, on the Bible. But number two, they don't know how the blessings that bless all the people come down. And that's what we should be concerned about, is the prosperity of everybody. And then you see another word, which is an English word that's interesting. Another word that's sort of abstract is the word happiness. And it's not absolutely abstract because it refers to happenings. That the Most High knows how to command situations and circumstances that can bring happiness in our lives. So I wanted you to see those words because they're very important. And of course, they're translated here, good things and good, but we already know the word good. But I wanted you to see that because when it says how good it is, we're talking about how it benefits the actual body, not just one person. And how the welfare of the whole group is blessed when we do something very, very important. And he tells us, and that is get together, all right? So he says, how good and how pleasant. Is that my next word? Yep. So my next word is pleasant. Y'all can write that word down. And we just do a simple search just like we did before. It comes from the Hebrew word na'im. So remember, it's written in Hebrew. So we look at the Hebrew word na'im. And you see it spelled, those of you who know Hebrew, what's that first letter? Noon. What is that letter? Huh? Who said ayin? Yeah. What's the next one? That's the yod. And then mem. So noon, ayin, Yo, men. Real quick, what is a noon? Y'all got nervous? What is a noon?
Sea fish activity line.
Pull up your bulletin. This ain't no pop quiz or nothing. We in class. Pull up your bulletin if you don't have it. It's on every bulletin. The noon is seed fish activity life. So what we're gonna see here, you know, whenever you see this letter in a word, whenever you see the letter, it's gonna have to do with some type of activity that brings life. And in this particular instance, how good and how pleasant, the word pleasant, is not something that is a one-time deal. But this atmosphere of pleasant means living like that forever. It's continuous. And it creates an atmosphere that is good for the bringing forth of new life. So obviously when you have division amongst the people, it's terrible for new life. Why would anybody want to be birthed into a fellowship where there's arguing and fussing and fighting, right? But if everyone is getting along together for good, purpose-wise, and in harmony, then what results is what's called pleasant. And of course it has to do with the noon. What's the ayin? That's simple. It sounds just like it is. What's the picture for the ayin? The ayin is the eye, and it represents what? To see, to experience. So when you talk about harmony and unity amongst the Hebrew Israelite family, it's not just something that we see alive or that we can notice it's alive, but say spiritual. This is also something people need to be able to see with their eyes. In other words, it's observable. It doesn't have to be like abstract, like, you know what? We know that spiritually, that's a tight group. Man, no, man, forget the spiritually. We know that physically, that's a tight group. Because we can see them getting along with each other. We can observe them hanging out with each other. I've watched so-and-so bring food over to make sure somebody ate. I watched somebody pick up somebody who needed a ride. I watched somebody let somebody stay at their house when they were down and out. I don't have to think whether or not this group is a pleasant group, because that which is pleasant is actually something that you're going to be able to see it. That's why we got to be very careful, Zion, how we live amongst people. Believe it or not, they're watching you. Then what's the next Hebrew letter? And we know that word representing hand is a particular type of hand.
Work and deed.
It's what?
Work and deed.
Work and see, that's why I like hanging with y'all. Work and deed means that this is not something that's just going to come by us sitting around reading the Bible trying to be spiritual. Like, oh, I'm just such a good and pleasant person. No, you're going to have to do something. And it's going to take work for us to dwell together in unity or in harmony. Every single time I get together with any couple, especially if they're newlyweds, got starry eyes, and they, most of the time, I done pretty much got out of the whole premarital counseling thing. Y'all know that. Because they can't hear nothing you say. They so in love, they ain't listening to nothing. I've been trying to tell them, but I learned something. I said, I just want you to know, before you get into what you're getting into, it's going to take some work. And you know what that does? Shoo! They ain't heard nothing I said. So your hands going to have to be strong. They ain't listening. Only thing on their mind is saying I do, and where is the honeymoon? Why are you laughing, Mark? You guilty? That's a shame. So you Hebrews, let me tell you something about harmony. Harmony is something that you must work toward. If you want to have a pleasant surrounding and a pleasant fellowship and there he is. Y'all put your hands together for Dr. Hooper. Just come in the room. Amen. This Hebrew been Hebrew hoboing all across the country. And I don't mean in a negative way, I'm talking about in a positive way. He's retired. He sold his stuff, bought him a truck, and went, watch this, it's no joke. He went 35,000 miles. Just him, a few belongings and a truck, because he said he wanted to see the world. He wanted to see America, part of his bucket list. And he made his loop, and now he's back in the room. Y'all put your hands together for him one more time. Excellent spirit and absolute brilliant mind. He might button his shirt wrong, but he's brilliant in anything else.
He looked down.
He might, but you know you can't have it all. So, but he is. Anybody want to know anything? You ask him. He's brilliant, and I wouldn't just be saying that because he's here, but he really is. And those of us who sat under his teaching know he's probably one of the most brilliant people that the Most High has given to the body as a gift. So we appreciate that he's a part of us. Amen. All right, I want to show you another side of this word pleasant, and it's very interesting because it has to do with singing. You see this word singing here? Now, what verse are we studying? Psalm what? 133. Psalm 133. So you see it right here, Psalm 133, verse 1. Then it says, singing praises. So, if you're only studying English, you'll never see that when he says how good and how pleasant, that the word pleasant has to do with singing together. Now, why is that important? Because singing together, if it's going to sound good, it's going to take some work. Because we got to learn what's called harmony. We need to find out what key we're in. I'm sorry, I get tickled because some people they can't catch the key. I mean, but singing is work. And here's my point. When the body works together flawlessly, it's like a choir. Not just any choir, but it's like a Hebrew chorus that sings perfectly together in harmony. So much so that you would love to hear them sing. Now, even if you're not a singer, and you go around a group of people who call themselves singers, and they can't sing, the first thing you want to do is say, would y'all please shut up? As a matter of fact, you know, I'm going to date myself now, but I grew up watching the Apollo. Y'all don't watch the Apollo. That's been gone for years. They got a new thing now called American Idol. But American Idol ain't nothing but the European version of the Apollo. We started it off a long time ago in the hood. Y'all know it's the truth. And we had a fella called Sandman who had he dressed up like a clown and he had this big old hook. And if you got on stage trying to sing with your group, and you was off and you weren't in harmony, the crowd would be like, ooh, trying to give you a chance, right? And then if you try to go even more harder and you going further off, here comes Sandman. He gonna hook you and drag you off the stage. Why? Because nobody likes that. Even people that can't sing don't like other folk who can't sing getting up acting like they can. Why y'all not rolling with me tonight like you know me? You know I'm telling the truth, say amen. So watch this. It's all in this word. When brothers and sisters work together, the Most High is saying, it's like they're making beautiful music that not only blesses them, but also blesses everyone around them. So when we are together, on one accord in harmony, it not only blesses us, but it blesses everybody who watches us. And if that's true, then the antithesis is true, then the opposite is true. And that is, if there is division among us, it disrupts us, it makes the place irritable. We don't want to be here. You know, we got Bible study tonight. I mean, it's full tonight. But let's say there was a big issue or rip in the church, right? All of a sudden, folks stop coming. Why? Because it's not a pleasant place to be. It's not harmonic. It's not in tune. There's no harmony. So even on the Shabbat, you know, we've been trying to bring in new songs and all that kind of stuff to the Shabbat and try to teach new music and all that. But I notice how some people are very uneasy about the new music. And one is because they don't know the songs. And two is because sometimes even those of us who are learning the songs, oh my goodness, she was going for it, huh? I knew I was too old. But that's all right. But anyway, so watch this. The better the band gets when it comes to music, like if the band just knew all the songs, right? And the leaders, the group, the people who were supposed to be doing it, if they got it right first and had it flawless, then the people that were showing up, it would be easier for them. But now that we're all learning, all I'm saying is, when something is perfect harmony, everybody gets in it, and it's nice, and you want to be there. We have a term for that in music. Everybody knows now I'm a musician, been that way all my life. There's a term in music called the groove. And that's really what all of us strive to enter into. When we get together as musicians, I don't care if I'm on the piano, organ, or bass guitar, or saxophone, it don't matter. I don't really care if I'm playing the spoons or clapping my hand. Eventually, what we're trying to achieve is a groove where everybody is grooving together. Like, yeah, I can feel that, you can feel this, I can feel that, and we all grooving. And every now and then a fellow will he'll go off, and the whole groove fall apart. You'd be like, dude, what did you just do? What was you playing? And then normally it's gonna be Chris. He'll say, oh, my bad. I was just trying something. And so we have to tell him, hey man, it ain't nothing wrong with you trying something. But practice it first, Hebrew, and then come back among us, and then we'll be grooving again. I'm just picking at him, but y'all know my point is the truth. You know, a lot of times in the fellowship, one of our problems is that everybody just every now and then wants to go off and do their own thing. And they think it's automatically going to groove. And sometimes it just don't groove. And at that point, it has to stop. We have to stop everything so that we can get back on one accord and we can get back in harmony with each other. So I dealt with good, pleasant, and now let me deal with this last word, and that is the word dwell. And then pretty much the rest of this is just verses. Okay, before I even pull up the word, how many of you all can guess a Hebrew letter that's in the word dwell? That's interesting that you said dialect, but no. Anybody? A bet. Why would there be a bet in the word dwell? Because bet is a house. So the Hebrew word for dwell is probably most likely going to have a bet in it because there's a letter that means house in Hebrew. So let's see if it is. We'll click it right here. And there it is. You can see the bet right there. I'm using my mouse, but can you see the bet? So you see here a yod, a shin, and a bet. So the word is yashab, and it's right there, yashab. And it has to do, of course, with a short definition is inhabitants. But you know we're talking about a house. And so really what he's saying here is, if you look at the definition of that word in Hebrew, it means to sit, to remain, or dwell. But I want you to see, you took this one Hebrew word, yashab, right? It's a Hebrew word. It's not English. It's yashab. The English people showed up and said, no, let's make this word called dwell. But every time they saw the word yashab, which was Hebrew, look at all the different ways they translated that one word. Sometimes they would say that yashab was abide. Sometimes they would say it was abode, convene, dwell, dweller, dwellings, dwell, enthroned, had, inhabit, inhabitants, inhabited, left, live, lurked, living, lurking, make, marry, marrying, occupants, occupied, pass, peaceful place, remain, remaining, repose, resettled, residence, retire, rule, sat down, seated, settled. You see it? Situated, sitting still, stayed, staying, take a seat, taking his seat, wait. That was all one word, yashab. When they saw that one word, yashab, they translated that word in all those different words. That's why I tell people, arguing over an English Bible is ridiculous. Fighting over words in English doesn't make any sense when the people that wrote the Bible couldn't agree on what word to put when they saw one word. So the translators, thank you, not the ones that thank you. Great. Woo, that was good, because this goes out worldwide. The translators would look at this word yashab, and they came up with all these different other words. Even though you see this word says word origin, it says a primary or primitive root. So we know that this word is the root word. That means it's the original word. All these other words for dwell is how these people interpret it. And so in this passage, they just happen to interpret it, the word, they interpret this word with dwell. So that's all. But you know the word, because I just gave it to you in Hebrew, the word is yashab. Now, why did I go through that whole long talk just now? That took a long time. Let me tell you why. Because whether you want to believe it or not, the Hebrew Israelite fellowship is a family. It's no such thing as a church over here and a church over there and a church over here and a group over here and this group over here. There's no such thing in the Hebrew mind. In the Hebrew Israelite mind, according to the manuscript, ain't but one group. And that's one family. And the idea is this: they're supposed to be together. And King David is literally telling us that everything is functional and beautiful and musical and in harmony when the family is, I said something, is operating the way Yah designed the family to operate. Anytime that that's not happening, then the opposite is happening. Things are ugly. Things are disturbing. Things are stressful. Things are painful. Things are out of tune. Do you get it? Because there's no centralized dwelling. There's no togetherness. Now, being together and dwelling does not mean you turn into a robot, because it's our differences that makes us who we are, right? And it's our differences that make life worth living. You get up the next day, if everybody was your clone, you probably couldn't stand the world, because some of us can't stand ourselves. Really? Y'all just left the room that fast? Say amen if you know what I just said was true. Oh, so you ain't never made a promise to yourself that you broke. Ain't nobody even told you to make the promise. You got up one day and made a promise to yourself. And turned around and broke it. Some of y'all lied to yourself just a few days ago. You told yourself, you weren't talking to nobody else, you told yourself, I'm going to get up tomorrow early so I can do such and such. And then when tomorrow came, self told self, whatever, because you was talking to you, I ain't getting up. And then about 12 o'clock you say, you know what? I said I was going to get up and I didn't do it. So please don't tell me that you always agree with yourself, because you don't. There's always a conflict. So here's my point. Y'all don't want us to be robots and clones, but he wants us to dwell together in unity. And there's only one way, before I close this little message tonight, there ain't but one way to do it. Everybody got to follow this. And Justina, we can't start following this 3/4 through the book in Matthew. You got to start following this book in Genesis. And once you start in Genesis, and everybody starts in Genesis, then we all go to Exodus together, and then Leviticus together, then Numbers together, then Deuteronomy, and we're all following this book from page 1 to the end of the book. Then guess what? We're all going to be in harmony one with another, because everybody has read it. So when a person says, oh, that ain't right, what you're doing, or somebody, asks a question, they say, wait, hold on. Didn't we read in Leviticus chapter 15, verse 12? Then we go back and look at it and go, you know what, you're right. Sorry about that, bro. Oh, it's cool, Aki. And y'all get dapped, bump shoulders, and y'all move on, right? You ain't splitting up over nothing, because you have a manuscript that you've all read together. And you know that this is going to always be right, so you can always come to this. So much is rolling around in my head right now, because I think about what's going on in this crazy town we live in, right? It's weird. Hebrews know all over the world of the satanic influences that are about to be opened and launched on the communities, beginning with Halloween. Y'all already know it. The devil ain't joking. You do know that, right? He'll take a person following this book and make them dress their child up like a devil or a demon. And then when another Hebrew say, hey man, I don't think it would be really cool if you following the Most High and He's holy, for you to dress up your daughter like a prostitute and your son like a pimp and your other son like a demon. I don't think that's consistent. And you'll get a fight. Well, then you stay over at your church, and I stay at mine. It ain't got nothing to do with church, does it? No. Let's go to the manuscript and let's see whether or not you should be letting your children participate in something that's satanic. That's the issue. And if you come away with no, you should not do it, then obviously it is no. If you come away with yes, we should do it, then the fellowship says, then let's do it. And that's as simple as it gets. And I could go on and on with that, but I just want you to know that harmony begins, and I'll show you the word in a minute. Ooh, I gotta keep going. Harmony begins with first agreeing that this is the final say. Okay, let me say that again. Harmony amongst the people begins with agreeing that this is it. This is the final say. Now let me share something with you. I heard people, I was in a conversation with a fella, a preacher, who told me that he believed this was the final say. I said, oh, good. And then later in our conversation he said, but I'll be honest with you, I ain't read it all. Hold on. You believe this is the final say, but you ain't read it. Does that make any sense, Zion? See, you can't have a conviction if it's the final say or not until you've read what it said. Then you can say, oh, yeah, I read it, and yes, this is it. This book is above everything and everybody. No one could write this Bible. It's especially just using the Hebrew language, because you know every word has to have letters, and every letter has to describe the word. No language on planet Earth does that but Hebrew. But I'm getting sidetracked. Because I was talking about the source. The source of unity has to be that we agree that this book is the final say. All right? And you need to know what's in it. Because we are family. The worst thing in the world is a family feud. A brother not talking to his brother? A sister talking about, I can't stand my sister? What in the world is going on? Have you called your cousin? Shoot, I ain't talked to that Negro in 20 years and I'm not about to call him now. Well, what happened? I don't remember exactly, but I remember whatever it was terrible. Then you start prying the brother and say, man, but you do know, man, both of y'all like in your 70s. You need to get over it. Then you come find out it was something stupid, but they let it fester. And they caused problems at all the family gatherings because they didn't deal with something when it was first handled. Now, if it's true in a immediate family, then it's gotta also be true. It has to also be true in a Hebrew fellowship. So what is our source of unity? Let me get back to this verse because I want to show you this. I'm just going to read the rest of it. So the word dwell has to do with a family and a house. We looked at the bet. And we looked at togetherness. Remember that the shin has to do with eat, consume, destroy. And of course, in that, there is the positive charge and the negative charge. The idea of teeth, to eat or to consume, or watch this, even to separate or to divide, can also represent to be together. So so the shin can be used to talk about something that has been cut or divided for the good, because not everything is for the bad. Y'all know that, right? So just understand that, like for instance, if you consume a meal, that's positive because I have food, right? But say if a fire consumes your house, you're still talking about consuming, but now that word consume is looked at negative. It's context. All right, so let's go on with this next one. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16. Real quick, I want to show you something. Proverbs 6:16. I need everybody to get it, because I'm going to go quick now. We're almost done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 16. It says this. These 6 things. It's right in your Bible. I ain't got to make nothing up. Does Yahuwah hate? Yeah. 7. That means the 7th thing are an abomination unto him. Should I go back and read that again? These 6 things does Yah hate. And then it says, yeah, 7 are an abomination unto him. An abomination is he despises and loathes it and hates it. So we're talking about Yah now. This is not 6 things that Marvin hates, 6 things that Marika hates, 6 things that Carlos hates, 6 things that Chris hates, 6 things that Mark hates, or Elbows hates. No, that don't matter. We want to see what the Most High Yah hates according to the manuscript. Here we go. Number 1, verse 17. Talk back to me, y'all. That's what? A proud look. That's a Hebrew walking around talking about he don't need God. He his own man. He said, I hate that more than anything. That's number one. I hate it when a person walking around like he made himself. And like I'm not the one that's keeping his lungs expanded and collapsing. Like I'm not the one that's keeping his heart regulated and beating. Like I'm not the one that's keeping the chemicals in his blood balanced so that he don't just pass out in the night. Like I'm not the one that woke him up this morning. I can't stand that. Come on, I'm a self-made man. You out your cotton picking mind. It is, I'm preaching now. It is he that has made us, according to Psalm 100, and not we ourselves. You don't want nobody one right here being proud. We got to be humble. Right? So proud look. What's the second thing? Wait, what? Did he say a lion tongue? Do you know that Hebrew Israelites will lie in a minute? We lie so much. Now this is strange. That we actually start believing our own lies. You done lied so much about a story, you think the story is real. Can't stand no lies. One of the reasons why I done lost friends and I have lost what I thought was friends and acquaintances is because, and one reason why a lot of people don't understand me now is because about 7, 8 years ago, I said to myself, when I started studying the Hebrew, I said, I'm never lying again about nothing. I'm talking about nothing. I'm not talking about just lying. I'm talking about I'm not going to lie ever. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to make a mistake and misspeak about something. That's a difference. Y'all know that, right? So if I like mention a date and then I'm off a few years, you know, I'm teaching a Bible lesson, you know, say, hey, pastor, you lied. It was not BC 820. It was BC 822. No, that ain't what I'm talking about. That's just me being old. I forget stuff. But I'm talking about lying for the purpose of trying to deceive someone. I just tell them the truth. Sometimes I wish people wouldn't ask me certain things because it forces me into this weird area. Now I gotta tell the truth. And so I try to be nice as I can, and truthful, because truth with anger and truth with hate, you know what I mean, that can cut worse than a knife. And I don't want to cut people. I want to be sweet. I want my conversation to be seasoned with salt. So I have to work hard trying to find words that would not hurt a person's feelings when they ask me a question. Pastor, you think I'm mean? Not all the time. Can't lie, that's what I'm saying. Now watch this. You know why I said I'm just done with that? One, I never known lies to ever work out in the end good. I don't care what it was. It don't matter what it is. And I started wondering, why do people lie so much? Because they're afraid. Because you're afraid that if you walk in truth, then the people around you are not going to want to be with you if you walk in truth and you start teaching and telling truth. And that's exactly what happened. So not only was it in my personal life and in my family life, but even in the life of the fellowship when I started preaching the truth. Because I couldn't follow the lies no more. I was done with that. And I tried to call the other brethren to share with the brethren, hey, brothers, I'm in this thing just like you, and I know that there's stuff in here that ain't true. Let me tell you what the truth is. Because I was messing up the game. Y'all get it? Once you start messing up the game, see, the pimp game is cool as long as we understand rules. You don't mess with my hoes, I don't mess with your hoes. It's a rule. But you start trying to pimp my hoes, we're going to have problems. And it's the same game that's played in the church and among the preachers. These are my people. These are my hoes. I'm the pimp. And you don't come to my church telling me what to teach because I got this thing going, man. Do you know how much money I make on Christmas? Do you know how much money I make on Thanksgiving? You know how much money I make at Easter? And everybody is in the game, know the game. So you take a person like me that done got out the game, and I'll go back and tell the pastor, well, you do know it ain't right for you to make these people participate in this foolishness so you can get paid. They like, he's a cult. Stay away from him. He's the most dangerous man in Fresno. First of all, that ain't enough territory for me. I don't like that. They should have said he's the most dangerous man in America. I would have took that one. But I can't have a Fresno. You don't give me Fresno. It's Fresno. The most dangerous man in America. Now we talking. Why? Because he's going to mess around and tell you the truth. Let me tell you what's crazy about truth. And I got to get to this last point because I'm trying to get to this where this is going. But let me tell you something else about this. When you decide to tell the truth and teach the truth, people will tell you, don't talk to him. Now let me tell you how stupid that is. If a person is teaching the Bible and they have a question, they ought to be able to talk to any person who's teaching the Bible so that that person can then decide whether or not what he's teaching is right or wrong. Are y'all in the room with me? In other words, if you got a Bible and we're teaching out the Bible, then nobody should be off limits when it comes to listening to them about the Bible. And if you find out a person is bending the scriptures, leave. If you find out a person is walking according to the text, you can stay. You get the point? But to say, don't speak, don't talk to him. Oh, it's the pimp game. Because he got pimping powers, and they might be more powerful than my pimping powers. And next thing you know, I'll be done lost you. And I need them tithes, and I need them offerings. I got my eye on that new Jag. And this preacher going up here, Marvin gonna mess it. Marvin messed it up for all of us pimps out here. We ask him a simple question. Should we keep Sukkot? Well, it is in the Bible, but that's Old Testament. Did Yeshua keep Sukkot? Yeah, he did, but again, that's transitional period between the New and the Old Testament. Did Rabbi Shaul keep it? Yes, but he was a Jew and a Hebrew, so he was obligated under the law. But didn't he say that all of us who are Gentiles, all of those who are Gentiles, not us, were grafted into this family? We're supposed to live according to. See how you do when you keep pushing the box? And eventually what they're going to end up saying is, well, if I do that, I'm going to lose my members and I'll be broke, and I'm not about to be broke, so I don't want to hear no more. But I got to a conclusion. I came to the point, as a Hebrew, I came to the conclusion, that if it was just me, I used to say it was just me and my wife. Then I used to say if it was me and my family. But then I had to start, when family started tripping, and be like, okay, if it's just me and my wife. Now I'm at the point where if it's just me, oh, I know y'all don't want to hear that. I'm going to teach if everybody leaves. If everybody leaves and y'all walk by the outside, you're going to hear my voice in here teaching to nobody. If it means me having to tell a lie, I'd rather die broke and poor teaching you exactly what's in here than to live rich lying about what's in here. It was too long. I was in the Christian church 21 years. I know what I'm talking about. Because the Most High said he hated a liar. Verse 16. Verse 17. Watch this. A lying tongue. Hands that shed innocent blood. Do you know there's some pastors that's pro-abortion? Do you know there's some members in church that kill their babies? When the Bible says it's something he hates. Shedding innocent blood. How about this? A heart that devises wicked imagination. He don't even like a heart that thinks about wickedness. He hates it. Here's another thing he hates. Feet that are swift to run to mischief. Always trips me out when I hear about Hebrews running to fights. Yeah, I was out there at the club. First of all, why was you at the club? That's a whole other story. And they started fighting. I went over to see what happened. And next thing you know, I was all caught up in it. So what was the fight about? I don't know. Why was you there? You know what my mom used to say? Crowds, watch this. She said this to me all the time, are ignorant. Individuals are intelligent. You don't want to be the person following a crowd. Because most of the people that's following the crowd, that's in the crowd, don't even know what direction the crowd is heading. I see my time is up. I've been watching the clock. All right, y'all been so kind. But let me get to this. Sweet feet that are always running to stuff they ain't got no business. 19. A false witness. What? A false witness that speaks lies. I wish I could tell that. Well, anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But watch this. And the last one. He that soweth, talk back.
Discord.
Where?
Among the brethren.
It's right in the Bible. He says, I hate it when there's a brother or a sister that comes into the fellowship and starts mess in order to start discord amongst the fellowship. He said, I hate it. It's one of the things he hates. Now let me share this with you, Zion, because our time is up. I know y'all just got here. I wish I could tell it all over again, but I'm done. I love y'all though. It'll be recorded, I promise. I promise, but it's good to see you. You my family, you know that. Amen. I ain't talking about no play cousin either. Y'all family. Watch this. He said, if you sow discord among the brethren, he said, I hate that. That's an abomination to me. Do you know an abomination? They call homosexuality abomination. So do you know that spreading something in the family and causing problems amongst the brethren is just as bad as committing homosexuality to the Most High Yah? And while everybody will jump on the homosexuals and be like, oh, y'all going straight to hell for that, right? They'll allow the spreading of discord among the brethren to be live and well. So you got this group with this group, and then in the same fellowship, this group is not talking to this group, and this person is not conversating with this person. And you go, because I'm a pastor, you know, and you know, I try to look at the whole body as one all the time. And I'm always shocked when I find out that somebody in the fellowship got an issue with somebody else in the fellowship, because believe it or not, I'm like the last one to know. And I'm not going to put nobody on the spot, but somebody said, well, that's because whenever somebody brings up an issue to you, you ignore it like you don't care. And I said, well, the reason why most of the time I don't respond to certain things is stupid. And I don't care how important you think it is, I'm telling you from where I sit, that's stupid. Who's arguing over what in the fellowship? I took out the trash and didn't nobody help me. So now what? I'm the only one good in the whole fellowship. Everybody else just some dirty dogs. That's not true. You realize there's a bunch of people. Who did you ask to help you? Well, nobody. They should have saw me. You're assuming that they saw you take out the trash. Now you mad and saying that everybody else in the church is a dirty dog and you the only clean dog in the church because you took out the trash. And you want me to address the congregation about that. See what I'm saying? Some things is just too low. But I will address the congregation when there is situations that deal with interpersonal relationships. Or would deal with somebody that's trying to teach something outside this Bible. Why? Because I don't think there should be no discord among the brethren. I think anytime we have any issues with anybody, we ought to be close enough to each other that we can honestly just talk to the person. You know, some of y'all is my blood in this room. And y'all know how blood is. Most of the time, blood ain't got no problem confronting blood. Like if that's your sister, you'll be like, listen. That's your brother, you'll be like, listen. In my case, my nephew, my son, whatever. But sometimes it seems difficult to make that leap from blood to what you consider to be an acquaintance or just a member or whatever. But in reality, we all family. And most of the stuff that we argue over or divide over, in the scheme of things, ain't got nothing to do with the kingdom. And the fact that the Messiah is coming back to get us, and we need to be ready. So what I'm trying to do now is help this fellowship stop sowing discord. And it's easy to stop. Just stop. You got a problem with anybody in this fellowship? Straighten it out. Here's a good way to start. Nia, I'm sorry. You say, for what? She probably don't even know. I've been holding a grudge. You've been holding a grudge against me? Why? Because I always wanted some earrings like you. And I didn't never get none. And I was jealous. And I told everybody else, she thinks she all that. Wearing them big old earrings. I ain't got none. You see how dumb it sounds? Now, knowing Nia, I'm picking on Nia, that's my mama, right? But knowing Nia, she'll probably just give you the freaking earrings. Why didn't you say something? You mean tell me you've been talking about me all this time? And I didn't even know it, and we've been singing together, we've been praying together, we've been reading the Bible together, and you've been having an issue over some God big in here. Here! Let us live together in what? Unity! Quickly, now I'm done teaching. These are just verses. We're just going to read them. Done preaching, teaching. Just verses. Give me Matthew 12. No, let's do this one. Let's do Mark 3:25. Mark 3:25. All we need is just the verse. You got it? All right. Miguel, read it.
And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand.
If a house, now this is Yeshua talking, now they gonna try to accuse him of casting out demons by the devil. Ain't that stupid? And so he says, man, a kingdom fighting against itself, man, ain't gonna stand. You can't make it a kingdom fighting against kingdom. That's called a civil war. And if you don't hurry up and stop the fight, you know there ain't going to be nobody left in the country. There won't be no kingdom. But then he says, a house divided can't stand. Now, how many of y'all think he made that up? Or did he have an Old Testament reference for it? How many of y'all think he got an Old Testament reference for that? And I'm just going to give it to you. It's 1 Kings chapter 12. He's talking about the house of Israel. He knew that there would be a fall of the children of Israel as soon as the house of Israel divided among Jeroboam and Rehoboam, Solomon's sons. And they fell out over who's going to treat the people the best. I don't have time to deal with that. But eventually you know what happens. Once they divided, the people from the north came down and conquered them. You cannot survive as a house divided. All right, last but not least, go back to Psalm 133 and go to verse 3. And I want you to see where it says, where he commanded the blessings. Do you see that? Actually, let's just read it. We're done since we're finished. Psalm 133, here we go. Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down the beard, even Aaron's beard. We know Aaron is the high priest. So obviously he's talking about the time when Aaron was anointed high priest by the Most High. That went down to the skirts of his garments. And then he says, as the dew of Hermon. Of course, we'll find this in the book of Exodus. No, I'm sorry. The book of Leviticus, we'll find the actual idea that where they did this was around the mountain of Hermon. But anyway, it says, as the dew that descends upon the mounts of Zion, for there Yahuwah commanded the blessing. I want you to underline that in your Bible. Commanded the blessing. I didn't know this. I thought that we just sort of fell into blessings. I didn't know that Yahuwah commands blessings. You know how he can command the curse to come that way? He also commands blessings. He can make a blessing appear out of nowhere. Now, to find that, we got to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Because remember, everything that's written in the Bible goes back to something that's already written in the Bible. I know that sounds weird, but it's true. So if you read something in Psalm, most likely you're going to find it in a book preceding the Psalms. And of course, in this case, it's always going to go back to the Torah. So go to Deuteronomy, I think it's chapter, did I write it down? Oh, chapter 28. Deuteronomy 28. And thank you guys for hanging in there. I know this is a long lesson, but thanks for hanging in there because I really wanted to at least show you something about the Most High. Deuteronomy 28 verse 1, and it shall come to pass, if you will hearken diligently to the voice of Yahuwah thy Elohim, to observe and to do, to look at his commandments and do all his commandments. Not look at them. That's why when somebody asks me about keeping Sukkot, the Bible says do them. See, you don't just look at them and say, oh, those are good feasts. No, it says observe and do them. That's what he says. Which I command thee this day, that Yahuwah thy Elohim will set thee on high, where? Above all nations. That's where we're supposed to be, of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee if you hearken to the voice of Yahuwah, your Elohim. He says, all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee if you listen. That's what he says, to the voice of Yahuwah, your Elohim. Blessed shall thou be in the city, and blessed shall thou be in the field. He's talking about, a minute. If you keep my commandments, you're going to be blessed. Blessed be the fruit of thy ground, fruit of thy body. Blessed be the fruit of the ground, and the fruit of the cattle, and the increase of thy kind, and of thy flocks, and of thy sheep. It says, blessed shall thy basket and thy store. Blessed shall be thou when thou comest in. Blessed shall be thou when thou goest out. Now watch this. Yahuwah shall cause thine enemies to rise up against thee and smite thee before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. Verse 8. And Yahuwah shall, command what?
Blessing.
There it is. David, when he was talking about the blessing, notice he uses a definite article, the blessing. So he's referring to a particular blessing that Yah uses to all the children of Israel as a family. It's as though in this blessing, there is a lot of blessings, plural, but all those blessings together have been titled the blessing. You're getting the blessing. Now, I told you I was going to try to hit these fake healers and knock them to the... No. I just want to hit this prosperity stuff real quick. How in the world can you claim the blessing and deny the commandments and the precepts and the principles, telling people they're going to get rich if they do what you say? When the Bible says no. Real blessing, real goodness, real pleasantness comes from walking according to the Torah in harmony with each other. And then I will pour out the blessing on you. And I wish I could, it's right here. The rest of the blessing is the rest of these verses. Verse 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. That is all called the blessing. That's what you get when you keep the commandments. Now, if you miss that and you break the commandments, you get the next group. That's called the cursing. So if you want the blessing, keep these commandments. If you want the cursing, don't keep them, break them. And this is what's going to happen. And if anybody in here wants to read the curses, you'll see that you got 14 verses of blessing. And then from verse 15 to verse 68, y'all bow your heads, let's pray. Abba, Yah, thank you for the time we had tonight. I pray that this group will see that the blessings will only come this way when we walk together in unity, because that's how the blessing is commanded. You said it in the Psalm, only 3 verses long, but you connected unity with the blessing. And I pray that we understand that it is when we walk in the unity of Torah that we put ourselves in the position and place to receive the blessing. I pray that we will let that rest in our heart forever. In the precious name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen. All right. Thank you very much.